Congratulations to AEW on a successful premiere. The real winners of tonight's head-to-head telecasts of NXT on the USA Network and AEW on TNT are the fans, who can expect Wednesday nights to be a competitive and wild ride, as this is a marathon, not a one-night sprint. What's up, everybody? Eric here from That's Wrestling. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you can send an email to eric@thatswrestling.com. This podcast is dedicated to pretty much stuff I enjoy actually watching. So it's not going to include WWE, and it's pretty much going to be New Japan and AEW for the most part. That statement I just read was what WWE released in regards to AEW's Wednesday Night Dynamite premiere on Wednesday, October 2nd, and this is before the ratings came out. I'm guessing this was because they knew they were going to get smacked in the ratings, and I don't think anybody actually sees this as a sincerity, but, we'll see. All right, so I will get back to that, and I will be doing some AEW news and whatnot, but first, I'm going to be talking about some of the important matches that have happened in New Japan over the past 10 days or so. So first we have Fighting Spirit Unleashed at New York City. There was a Never Openweight Championship that we'll talk about, and then also New Japan Road to King of Pro Wrestling. There were two matches on that show on today, actually, this morning, that we should be talking about. And so let's just get to it. So first off, the Fighting Spirit Unleashed show was on September 28th in New York City from the Hammerstein Ballroom. This was Kenta versus Yoshi-Hashi for the Never Openweight Championship. The story going into this, I'm guessing this is mostly a grudge match, since Kenta kept getting involved with the championship match with Ishii and Yoshi-Hashi against the Guerrillas of Destiny. So I'm guessing that's kind of what came out of this one, and this whole kind of team has been at each other's throats for a bit now, for pretty much the past month. So I'm guessing that's where it came out of here. So right off the bat, on the initial collar and elbow tie-up, Kenta backed up into the ropes, and at the break, Kenta rolled out of the ring. And then actually it happens over again once Kenta gets back into the ring, but this time Yoshi-Hashi follows him out and throws him back into the ring. The two of them have a bit of a striking exchange, then go to the floor again. Kenta runs Yoshi-Hashi into the ring post and then the barricade, and then he gives him a DDT on the unprotected floor of the walkway, forcing Yoshi-Hashi to answer a 20 count, which he does at 19. Kenta immediately throws him back to the outside, gives him a DDT on the floor again, this time on the mats just outside the ring, again for another answer of a 20 count, this time at 17. Kenta works over Yoshi-Hashi, and then he works the crowd some. This was a very slow-paced match at the beginning. Kenta was working a lot of holds and just kind of slow, deliberate, and also kind of a bit of a taunting fashion as well. Yoshi-Hashi turns the tides a little bit. He hits a few shoulder tackles and then hits a headhunter and then a drop kick with Kenta draped over the top rope. Kenta turns it around again with a power slam, and then Kenta hits So Kenta was up on the top rope. He grabbed Yoshi-Hashi like he was going to do like a tornado DDT, but he went over the top rope, and Kenta landed on the apron and kind of snapped Yoshi-Hashi across the top of across the top rope. So kind of normally you'd see they would grab their opponent by the head and then kind of drop to the floor. This kind of was like a DDT motion across the top rope. It was pretty interesting. Hadn't seen that before. Kenta continues working over Yoshi-Hashi. He hits a delayed drop kick in the corner and then a double stomp off the top rope for a 2 count. Yoshi-Hashi gets out of a GTS attempt and he hits a reverse heel kick and then a clothesline. Both men are slow to get up. They start with a bit of a striking exchange with forearms and slaps. Yoshi-Hashi starts to rain down punches in the guard on the ground, but Kenta then gets Yoshi-Hashi into the game over submission, which is the same thing as a yes lock. Yoshi-Hashi makes it to the ropes to get out of that. Back into a striking exchange they go. Yoshi-Hashi hits a super kick and then hits a sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count. And then he hits running double knees at the center of the ring for another 2 count. Then Yoshi-Hashi hits the ropes and goes for a clothesline, but Kenta pulls the ref in front of him, and the ref ends up taking the clothesline. He gets knocked out of the ring, and then Kenta hits Yoshi-Hashi with a low blow, and then he's motioning towards the ramp, and God comes down. Tama Tonga hits a splash in the corner on Yoshi-Hashi. Then they set up for a super power bomb, but Tiger Hattori runs down and throws the Gorillas out. Kenta then hits a penalty kick on Yoshi-Hashi and then goes to the outside and then throws the ref back into the ring. Kenta then goes for a GTS, but Yoshi-Hashi rolls it into a butterfly lock, which he's been winning with quite often lately. Yoshi-Hashi pulls Kenta back into the middle of the ring a couple times while he's in the butterfly lock, but he doesn't tap. Kenta finally makes it to the ropes for the rope break. Yoshi-Hashi hits the ropes, does a huge clothesline, and then hits the Kamaguroshi for a 2 count. And then he goes for karma, but Kenta gets out of it. They exchange a crazy palm. Man, they were just laying these palm strikes in and slaps. Then Kenta hits Yoshi-Hashi with the psycho knee for a 2 count, and then he drags Yoshi-Hashi back up to his feet and then hits the go-to sleep for the 3. So still the never openweight champion is Kenta of Bullet Club. This is, I believe it's the first successful defense of the never openweight championship this year. I don't think anybody's gotten past the first defense this year at all, so that's something new for this championship. It's been passed around quite a lot this year. I don't know what they're going to be setting up for the Never Openweight Championship in the future. I can't really tell. I'm guessing it's going to be Ishii next, since he was the other half of the tag team with Yoshi-Hashi that Kenta had been messing with during the Gorillas of Destiny match. But I don't know at this time. They haven't announced anything, so that is just kind of my inkling of where it might be going. Also, Ishii has held the Never Openweight Championship before, so it's something that I kind of associate with Ishii, so maybe that will be coming up either. It's not going to be at King of Pro Wrestling. It could be at Power Struggle, but I'm guessing that there won't be another defense of the Never Openweight Championship until probably Wrestle Kingdom, which is still 3 months away at this point. So maybe at Power Struggle, but we will see. All right, on to Road to King of Pro Wrestling. That happened today, October 7th. It'd be morning on the East Coast of the United States, but it was nighttime over in Japan. So the 2 matches that we're going to be talking about, one is a Never Openweight 6-man tag championship. But first, we got to talk about Tiger Mask and Jushin Thunder Liger versus Minoru Suzuki and Kanemaru. Again, Minoru Suzuki and Jushin Thunder Liger are really going at it. They have been pretty much on each other since August or so. Suzuki is begging Liger to be the one to retire him. Suzuki has been trying to unmask Liger, and he has actually unmasked Liger recently. Liger has also unmasked himself to reveal Kishin Liger, which is kind of the sadistic side of Jushin Thunder Liger. And they have just been meeting constantly in tag matches for the past month or so. Suzuki attacks Liger right as he's trying to get into the ring. They brawl on the outside, and then Suzuki starts, he's actually grabs an umbrella from the crowd and starts like jabbing it into Liger's neck. Eventually they get back into the ring, and Suzuki tries to unmask Liger. So Tiger Mask actually runs in, but is intercepted by Kanemaru, and he starts trying to take Tiger Mask's mask off as well. And then both of them are unsuccessful at doing that. Suzuki puts an arm bar on Jushin Thunder Liger while he's draped over the ropes behind the ref's back. He holds it for quite a long time. He also keeps on just working over that arm in the corner. Liger catches a PK attempt from Suzuki and then hits a desperation brainbuster, and then he gets the tag out to Tiger Mask. Tiger Mask kicks Suzuki a couple of times, and Suzuki gets a tag to Kanemaru. Tiger Mask gets Kanemaru into a heel hook or knee bar type of situation, but he gets over to the ropes. Tiger Mask then goes up to the top rope for a splash, but he crashes and burns as Kanemaru moves out of the way. Kanemaru comes back a little bit, and then he hits a moonsault for a 2 count. Tiger Mask then hits a desperation powerbomb and gets a tag over to Liger. Suzuki also gets tagged in at the same time. They brawl for a little bit and then go to the outside. Suzuki grabs a chair and actually hits Liger right in front of the ref in the gut, and then hits him over the back with the chair right in front of the ref. So what's going down? He also pushed down the ref. So this is one of the things that really bugs me about New Japan, that the refs look like total dorks, that they have like no spine at all. And for whatever reason, it's like, okay, that's a blatant disqualification. Not only did he hit Liger with a chair twice while the ref was watching him do it, he was standing right there. Then he also hit the ref as well. How is this not a disqualification? Anyways, they then get into the ring. Suzuki has thrown a couple chairs into the ring. The ref tries to... Then they get into a bit of a duel with the chairs. They end up breaking the chairs. The seats pop out of them and everything. Then the ref tries to take a chair away from Liger. Liger hits the ref with a chair. And then finally, the ref calls for the DQ. So after Liger hits the ref with a chair, then it's a DQ. But if Suzuki hits Liger with a chair in front of the ref and pushes the ref, it's not a DQ. Yeah, it makes no sense. It makes them look like the refs looks like total jokes. Anyways, it's one thing they just need to really tighten up. And I noticed AEW might be falling into that trap too. So I really don't want to see either of those promotions doing this type of stuff. They really need to be a little more strict with the quote unquote rules and not let this kind of stuff slide, because it really makes no sense and is kind of annoying. After the match, Suzuki cuts a promo, but this show, as of right now, has not been dubbed over by Kevin Kelly in English yet. So I was watching the Japanese, so there's no translations or anything on it. So I'm really not sure what he said. After the match, Suzuki and Liger have multiple pull-apart brawls. They keep breaking away and getting after each other, and they get pulled apart and breaking away and going after each other. So this is going to be interesting. Going into King of Pro Wrestling, they have a one-on-one match. So we will see if that will bring out Kishin Liger or if we will see Jushin Thunder Liger. I am not sure how that's going to go, so we will find out on the 14th, so just a week away for King of Pro Wrestling. Then also on that same show today, there was a never openweight 6-man tag match. Yoshi-Hashi, Honma, and Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Taguchi, Toru Yano, and Togi Makabe. This has always been a weird team to see, Taguchi, Yano, and Makabe, because they're not in the same faction or anything, which makes it interesting. They've been champs for 250 days at this point. They've had 3 title defenses. It's just kind of a weird team, but also the challenging team seems really weird as well when you have Yoshi-Hashi, Honma, and Tanahashi. Again, none of them are in the same faction or anything, and actually, if you look at it, they are opposing people who are in their same faction. So Yoshi-Hashi and Toru Yano are in Chaos. Honma and Makabe are in BHG or BGH. I can't remember. It was something. Oh man, I don't even remember what it stands for anymore. I'll have to look that up. Anyways, and then Hiroshi Tanahashi and Taguchi are kind of like factionless. So it was just kind of funny that they are all kind of going against their own faction, or in the latter's case, they are not in factions at all. The match starts off, they cycle through the people, so they had the same faction fighting against each other. So you had Tanahashi and Taguchi, then you had Yano and Yoshi, and then you had Makabe and Honma facing each other. Then there's a bit of a breakdown. Everybody gets into the ring and starts brawling a bit. Then it kind of clears out, and Makabe and Honma continue to fight until Makabe tags in Taguchi. Taguchi then misses like a headbutt and tags Makabe back in. Yano has actually undone the corner pad for the corner that his team is standing in, while the champs kind of work over Honma in the corner and then exposes the steel. Tanahashi tries to come in, but then he gets whipped into that corner with the exposed turnbuckle. Then the champs continue to rotate through their team, tagging in and out nice and quick, preventing Honma to make any tag over to his team. Honma then gets in a desperation suplex on Makabe and gets the hot tag to Yoshi-Hashi, who then hits Makabe, and then he knocks Yano and Taguchi off of the apron. He then takes him down, Makabe that is, with a shoulder tackle. Makabe gets him in the corner for a second, but Yoshi-Hashi gives him a powerbomb out of the corner. Both men tag out. Tanahashi and Taguchi are in the ring. Taguchi goes for the Three Amigos, but on the third one, Tanahashi hits the twist and shout, and then he hits a sling blade. Tanahashi then goes for the high fly flow, but Makabe and Yano jump up onto the corner and kind of grab his feet. He kicks them both off, and he goes for the high five flow, but Taguchi has rolled out of the way. Taguchi then goes for a hip attack, but misses. Tanahashi gets a tag to Honma, and he takes out Taguchi. Yano gets a tag in and tries to splash Honma on the exposed turnbuckle, but Honma moves out of the way, so Yoshi-Hashi ends up going into the exposed steel on his own. Tanahashi and Honma hit a double headbutt on Yano, and then Yoshi-Hashi hits double knees for a 2 count. Honma hits a flying headbutt off the top rope. I believe it was off the top rope. Everyone gets into the ring. There's a big brawl. Yoshi-Hashi and Tanahashi go to give a double suplex to Taguchi, but Yano hits both of them with low blows and then hits Honma as well with a low blow like back kick. And then Taguchi hits a hip attack, and Yano rolls up Honma for the 3. So this was actually a really fun match. It's not like the greatest match in the world, and it's kind of weird to see Tanahashi in what is essentially kind of a comedy match. I mean, it was nothing special, but it was fun to watch. So if you have New Japan World, I'd definitely check it out. It was worth the watch. It was, like I said, it was a pretty fun match. So that's it for the New Japan shows, because those are the kind of the 3 major matches that have happened in the past 10 days or so. Like I said, the next show coming up is King of Pro Wrestling. Major matches on that is going to be the Jushin Thunder Liger versus Minoru Suzuki match. And then there is a Junior Heavyweight Championship match, Will Ospreay against El Phantasmo. There's a U.S. title match, Jon Moxley versus Juice Robinson. Then there's also a match for the contract for the championship match at Wrestle Kingdom with Kota Ibushi versus Evil. And then the heavyweight championship match of Okada versus Sonata. So definitely we'll be checking that out, and you can hear my review of that after that takes place. After that is going to be the Power Struggle shows and the Junior Tag Tournament. So that's going to be going on for the rest of October, wrapping up at the beginning of November at Power Struggle. So no matches, no teams have been released for that. Don't know what the brackets are or anything. I can't remember if it's a round robin or not. I think it is. But again, no teams have been announced for that yet. So I'm guessing they probably will not announce those until right after King of Pro Wrestling. So that's it for New Japan news. Quickly, there's a little bit of news for Ring of Honor. It's just they had Death Before Dishonor this past weekend, actually 2 weekends ago now. And the big story coming out of that is the buy rate for that show. Death Before Dishonor just did horribly. The attendance was not good. They had a 900 seat venue. They did not fill it up. And then for pay-per-view buys or just buys in general, they only had 800. That's it. For Death Before Dishonor, they had a whopping 800 buys. To give a little bit of a comparison, back in June for Best in the World, they had 3,500 buys. So, just in 4 months, not even 4 months, the interest in ROH has been tanking. I don't know how long they're going to be able to survive with this type of drop or lack of interest at this point. So that's all I got for the Ring of Honor. All right, so now we move on to AEW and everything that's been going on in the past few days. That statement that I read at the beginning from WWE congratulating AEW. I'll read it again. Congratulations to AEW on a successful premiere. The real winners of last night's head-to-head telecasts of NXT on the USA Network and AEW on TNT are the fans, who can expect Wednesday nights to be a competitive and wild ride, as this is a marathon, not a one-night sprint. Now, I've seen some very interesting statements from WWE before on all their type of spin, and anybody who thinks this is actually a sincere post, I have a lot of stuff to sell you at very overpriced prices. So, I mean, I don't think anybody actually buys that this is a sincere statement by WWE to AEW. This is really we knew we were going to get our asses kicked in the ratings, which they did. And we're going to put out this statement before the ratings come, just so we can save a little bit of face. But make no mistake, WWE wants to crush the competition. They've always been doing that type of thing, and that's always been their mission. So I don't buy for a second that they actually think that the fans are the ones that win because they want to be the winners. Yeah. So speaking of ratings, the AEW ratings, the first show of Wednesday Night Dynamite averaged 1.4 million viewers versus NXT's 900,000, just under 900,000. But one thing was in the demographics that speak even more loudly, because the number of teenage boys that saw AEW was way more than all of WWE's shows last week. So they, or not, except for the SmackDown on Fox, because these numbers were prior. So the week prior to SmackDown going on Fox, AEW beat Raw, SmackDown, and NXT with teenage boys. They beat Raw and SmackDown by around 40%, and then they beat NXT by 240%. So they crushed the competition as far as teenage boys, which is a great thing to see if the younger demographic is actually coming in and seeing AEW as actually being something cool, because that's really the fans you need to target. And one thing I never really understood is, why would you target kids? Because as long as you're targeting like the young adult demographic to the adult demographic, as long as it's cool, young kids are going to watch, especially teenagers. I mean, that's really how it was like in the Attitude Era and everything. You had this raw and gritty product that people thought were cool because it was so extreme at times and outside of the realm. Kids just want to, watch something they're maybe not allowed to watch or something like that. So, those are the fans you need to make. So you need to make new fans. Whereas WWE's demographics have been skewing older and older and older, and they're not bringing in new fans, which is really the biggest problem. I mean, if you target kids, you're going to lose the young adults because it's not cool. And then the only people you have around are those kids that stick around for a couple years because it's geared to them. But once they become a teenager, the product is not cool. They're not going to continue to watch it in middle school or high school or anything like that. And maybe they'll come back to it when they're older, but it's unlikely because it's just completely different. If you're targeting such a young audience, it's just not going to work, because if it's not cool to teenagers, you're just going to lose them by that point, and they're not going to watch as adults. So I think that's kind of what's happened the most to WWE, losing their fan base, because their fan base skews 35 and older, and you can't continue that way because those people just age out. And if you're not making new fans and fans that are going to stick through their teenage years and then into their 20s, then you're totally screwed. So it's good to see that AEW seems to be at least appealing at this point to the younger demographic, and hopefully they can continue on that way. Also, for the 18 to 49, they also doubled what NXT had done as well, in direct competition. They are actually close to Raw's numbers in that demographic as well. So moving on, there's updates to the AEW UK deal. This came out actually right before the show, but just kind of to reiterate and where everything stands at this point. Everybody was freaking out about the deal over in the UK, but it sounds like it comes down to somebody released info a little early over at ITV and didn't know that there was going to be one more bit as far as what the deal actually was. So what ended up getting announced was that ITV4 would be doing a re-air, so it wouldn't be live, at 8:20 in the morning on a Sunday morning, which is 4 days later, and then would do a highlight show at 11:45 on Monday night. That's what came out. But in actuality, there is more to it. So the actuality is that AEW Dynamite will be on ITV Hub starting 7 p.m. on Thursdays. So they're basically getting it uploaded on their streaming service, which is free to residents in the UK. What was that, like 16 hours after it airs? So it's not huge. And, if it's going to be airing in the middle of the night, most people aren't going to be able to watch until they get home from work the next day. So, it's not really a big deal, but like I said, it'll be available on ITV's Hub, which is a free streaming service for people in the UK, at 7 p.m. Also, they will be doing a re-air on ITV4 at 11:20 p.m. on Friday night. So there will be a free over-the-air broadcast of AEW on Friday nights. So that's good. And also, as the deal continues, you can watch on Fight TV for $5 a month, pretty much all over Europe. I think Germany is the only country at the moment that does not have access to the Fight TV app because they are working on getting TV over there. Though I have read that might be a problem with EU rules, since if there's something available to one country, that should be available to all the countries. So with Germany being currently geo-blocked from Fight TV, that might have to change soon, or they need to get that TV deal taken care of, but I have not heard anything about the German TV deal at this point. Also, AEW is going to be releasing a new show starting on Tuesdays. It will be AEW Dark, which is going to be all the dark matches that happen before and after Wednesday Night Dynamite that they record. And the upcoming show this Tuesday looks like it's going to be Darby Allin versus Shima. And then it's the Lucha Bros, and I guess they're calling themselves the Hybrid 2, which is Angelico and Jack Evans. And they're going to be in a 8-man versus Private Party and Best Friends with Orange Cassidy in their corner. And then there is Britt Baker and Allie versus B. Priestley and Penelope Ford. And then SCU versus Jurassic Express. So that will start tomorrow on the AEW YouTube channel. So that's AEW Dark. So we'll get to see all those. Matt Jackson has also said that the matches that take place on AEW Dark will count to the wrestler's win-loss record. So Matt Jackson says, quote, "Yes, everything counts." So the another thing that's been going on this week after Dynamite and a little before Dynamite as well, the stars of Wednesday Night Dynamite have been making the media rounds. Mostly it's been Jericho, Nyla Rose, Jungle Boy, Jon Moxley, Awesome Kong. I can't remember who else, but those are kind of the main ones. They have been making the media rounds. They have been at Comic-Con. They have been on a bunch of kind of morning shows, Entertainment Weekly, I believe they were on as well. So you can go check those out. They were very good. The Comic-Con one was awesome. It's about an hour long. You can find it on YouTube. There's just a lot of talk. There were really good questions from the audience. Jon Moxley talked about what he was thinking leaving WWE and how he feels about his decision and all that stuff. It was very interesting. Also, they did a bit of an angle where Cody Rhodes came out and attacked Jericho during the promotion of it during the panel at New York Comic-Con. So that was pretty interesting. You can go see all that video over on YouTube. Also, as far as media appearances, one thing that I really liked is so far after All Out and this past week's Wednesday Night Dynamite, Tony Khan has done media scrums after the show, which has been really cool. He's been taking questions from various media people, and you can find all those, but it's very cool to see how hands-on he is and his knowledge, and it really seems like they have a plan going forward, and they're not just spur of the moment doing this stuff. So very cool to see. So the last thing is, going into this week, we have matches announced for October 9th, Wednesday Night Dynamite, which is going to be in Boston, Massachusetts, which I will be going to. So far we have 4 matches have been announced as of the recording of this. We have Jon Moxley versus Shawn Spears. I'm not really sure why this match is happening. There hasn't been really any story, and they haven't interacted with each other. So I am not sure why this is happening. So just something, they need to want to tighten up just a little bit. Also, then there is Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara will be facing Hangman Page and Dustin Rhodes. So it looks like Jericho is starting to put together some sort of faction of bad guys. So Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Jack Hager, and Santana and Ortiz. So it seems like the 5 of them are kind of building this kind of faction here. And then Dustin Rhodes came in to help break up the brawl at the end of Wednesday Night Dynamite when Sammy Guevara came down and attacked Cody. I'm not sure specifically why Hangman is in there, but he did lose to Jericho for the title. So it's kind of a little bit of a callback to that. Then we have, for the first round of the tag team tournament, we have Young Bucks versus Private Party. I have a feeling that this is probably going to be the show stealer because they both do a ton of crazy moves, but I'm thinking Young Bucks are going to be the ones moving on to the next round. And the last match that's been announced, so this is the 4th match, will be a number 1 contenders match. The winner of this match will face Jericho next week on the 16th in Philadelphia. So it will be the first AEW heavyweight title defense by Jericho on the 16th, and he's going to be facing either Darby Allin or Jimmy Havoc. So these two will be going at each other, and again, these 2 guys are completely insane. They had those crazy spots at the, whatever they were calling it, the Cracker Barrel Classic or whatever match, which was just insane. And Darby Allin is just nuts, taking those trust fall coffin drop dives. I just hope both of them come out of this alive, and whoever wins can actually make it to the match the following week. So that's all I have for you today. I am looking forward to Wednesday Night Dynamite coming up, and especially because I will be there, so should be a good time. Normally I will be going live after Wednesday Night Dynamite, but the past 2 weeks, last week I was traveling for work. This week I'll be at the show, so I won't be able to do that. But starting on the 16th, I will be over on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, going live right after Wednesday Night Dynamite. You can find the link to the YouTube channel in the description of this podcast, so you can head over there, hit subscribe, and I also post these shows over there as well. So if you'd like to get a hold of me, send me a comment, question, feedback, discussion topic, whatever, you can send an email to eric@thatswrestling.com. And until probably Wednesday night, it's going to be Thursday by the time I record it. So Thursday, I'll talk to you again. And until then, that's wrestling.